Hello, everyone. That felt a bit weird to say. I feel like I haven't done a Havering in a long time. But we got stuff to haver about. I'm back from my holiday in Paris. And while I was away, the SMITE Esports plans for the next few months leading into the Las Vegas LAN were announced. So today we're going to talk a little about them. How was my holiday? It was great. Thank you for asking. Here are a selection of pictures that I will very quickly show you. Let me make sure I'm tapped into this so that when I click Control W, it doesn't do anything weird. But yeah, there's some snails I ate. This is some croissants we ate. This is a load of wine and some ham that we had. This ham was delicious. It had some truffle through it, and this was like a tasting menu of 6 flutes of wine. €50. Not that bad. Really delicious wines. It's my favorite thing that we did on the trip, I think. There's me and Yasmin in the Eiffel Tower. There's me and a rock face man, like the Easter Island man. I don't know if it was from Easter Island, but this was in the Louvre. There's me and Mona Lisa. And that's it. That was my holiday. So let's get on to the SMITE. So. Let's chat through the esports format. Now, this is a format that's going to run over a number of stages and over a number of weeks. You can see it starts on September 14th, and it goes all the way. This lead-in to the Vegas LAN goes all the way to December 12th to 15th. So, and that also means that the Vegas LAN is what, January something? January 17th and 19th. So teams will be flying out for the in-studio LAN, flying back home, and then going back out again to the States if they're coming from Europe or to cross-state or whatever, to Las Vegas, which is in Arizona, right? Las Vegas, Arizona? Question mark? Arizona? It is in Arizona, it seems. Nice. See? He does his research. He knows things. Okay, tickets, first of all, for the Las Vegas event will go on sale on September 13th. So if you're super keen to go, put that in your calendar and make sure to be ready to buy them, because I don't think there will be many tickets for this event. I think I looked at I think I looked at the capacity at some point. We can look at this again. I did this a while ago, but it looks like it's about 600 people. Reception style. I'm not sure if that's in the actual esports arena. Max seating capacity 650. It seems largest room standing capacity 1,000. So maybe some people can fit into that. I don't know. We won't know until they release the tickets, and they might not even say then what the total capacity is. But I would imagine somewhere in that 600 to 600 maybe tickets, something like that. It's hard to say because obviously you have to take into account the teams that are going, the staff that are going, so it might end up being closer to 500 tickets if that's in fact the capacity. We'll see in time. But if you're keen to go, I would recommend buying a ticket early. I don't know what the demand will be like. I don't know how many people really want to go out to Las Vegas, but yeah, if you're keen to go, I would buy early. Cool. The 300k prize pool tournament is split between 6 stages. The prize pool is not split between the stages, to be clear. Totally 12 weeks of competition for both North America and EMEA. This is Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. If you don't know, it's just what they're calling what previously was known as the EU region. So that it automatically includes things like Egypt, which is in Africa. Chario obviously competed in the European SMITE Pro League for a long time, despite not actually living in or being from Europe. So it's very common in business for EMEA to be the region rather than Europe. But yeah, let's go through, a quick overview of the stages. You've got an open bracket leading into a Swiss and another open bracket happening concurrently. Swiss format we'll talk about when we get onto that. Stage 3, there's a last chance qualifier, which is a GSL style groups thing. Stage 4, playoffs. This is, I think, a double elimination playoff bracket. And then stage 5, an in-studio LAN. Let's start off with the open bracket. Okay, so should I zoom in a bit? I don't know. Let's zoom in a little bit so maybe you have a better chance to read it. So we're starting off with the open bracket. This is the classic SMITE format, single elimination, open bracket, points awarded for performance. First gets 100 points, second gets 60 points, third gets 40 points, fourth 25, fifth to eighth 10, ninth to 16th 5. And then there will be 2 weeks of open brackets for EMEA and North America. And from that, the top 16 teams from each region, so the 16 teams with the most points, will advance into Stage 2A, which is the Swiss bracket. The obvious concerns about an open bracket is they've said that this is a new game. There is no seeding. You don't have seeding based on your performance in SMITE 1. The obvious concern is that teams could get super unlucky. You know, in theory, the third best team in the tournament could get first rounded by the best team in the tournament week 1 and the second best team in the tournament week 2, depending on how they figure out the seeding. That could be unlucky for them. My concerns about that are slightly assuaged by the fact that there is an open bracket as well as the Swiss format afterwards. But you know, it's just you could get super unlucky in these open bracket qualifiers. I guess my other concern at the moment is that 16 teams are coming out of these 2 weeks of open bracket, which seems like a lot of teams. Do we think we're going to get 16 teams from NA and 16 teams from NA maybe seems pretty doable in SMITE 1 terms, but 16 teams from EU seems like a lot to me. So 16 teams that care enough to qualify into the open bracket and qualify through the open bracket into the Swiss stage and are all pretty good and able to compete with one another. I don't know what the numbers are going to be like. I believe in the last SMITE 2 tournament that was run during a test weekend, EU only had 8 teams. I think that number will obviously rise. People will be more interested in the game than of this open release and things like that. And that was open beta, I guess. But yeah, it's an interesting one. 16 teams seems like a lot to me at this point, but Hi-Res will have access to more numbers than we will, and we'll have reasons for that many. And also, I think you need probably 16 teams to make Swiss work properly, which is super cool. Let's move on to Swiss. I really like Swiss format stuff. They do it in CS a fair bit. You see it in CS tournaments, but it tends to be best of 1 matches in the early phase until you get to elimination or qualification matches, where it goes to best of 3. In terms of this Swiss bracket, it is best of 3 all the way through, I believe. So the way Swiss works is initially you'll come into a matches will be determined randomly based on a team's set score, with everyone starting 0-0 in week 1. So it looks like it is it unseeded for the first matches? It feels like the initial matches should probably be soft seeded in some way from the performance in the open bracket, but we shall see. But essentially, you continually play against teams with the same record as you in Swiss until you either get to 3 wins, which means you qualify to the next stage, or 3 losses, which means you're out. So everybody starts playing against another team. Everybody starts 0-0, so you play 0-0. 8 teams will win, 8 teams will lose, and then those 8 teams who win will play each other in 1-0 matches. The 8 teams who lose will play each other in 0-1 matches. And it goes on like that until every team either has 3 wins or 3 losses. So some things worth thinking about with this format. It's played across 5 weeks. So if you go 3-0, you only have to play 3 weeks of competition. You get a couple weeks off. If you go 0-3, you're out after 3 weeks similarly. So the more you win, the better it is for you. They also mentioned that they will be doing, I think, $5,000 of prizing for this. Is that for this stage? I think it's mentioned here. Yeah, there we go. There'll be a $5,000 prize pool for the top teams during the Swiss stage based on their final placement. But I like Swiss. I think it's good because it can give you banger matchups like every single time there's a game on. You can choose to watch the higher tier games. You can choose to watch the lower tier games. You can get kind of epic comebacks where a team goes down 0-2 and then they fight their way back to 3-2 in the bracket. And you can have epic collapses as well. A team who goes 2-0 gets pantsed in their third match and then ends up going 2-3. I really like Swiss. It lets you see lots of teams play each other without becoming a ridiculous number of games, in my opinion. I really like the format for Swiss. Again, I have concerns about 16 teams being in this. Are there going to be 16 good teams from each region? We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for Swiss. I like that we have Swiss in SMITE. I think it's the first Swiss stage ever in SMITE, and I'm a fan of it. Meanwhile, the teams who did not finish top 16 in their region will be battling it out in an open bracket. This could be teams who just didn't make it, didn't do well enough, or teams who formed after the original open brackets. And this just lets teams form late. It lets teams who got bad draws make their way further on in the tournament, and it lets teams who grow over time. I mean, this is a new game. The game's going to be changing a lot. People are going to be learning a lot over the first. I mean, that's 2 weeks of competition for the open brackets initially, and then another 5 weeks of competition for this. The game's going to evolve so much in terms of competitive in that time, and people's understandings going to change a lot. And what is it, 2 gods every 3 weeks? So, I mean, just over this period, let's have a look. This is September 14th to October 27th. So that's like 6 weeks or so. So that's going to be 4 new gods in that period as well, which is nuts to think about. 4 new gods coming out over that period of time. It's going to be back to the old SMITE days. Some of you ain't ready for that, I don't think. But yeah, again, this is just single elimination tournaments, amassing points over 5 weeks. So that will, this one I'm much less concerned about in terms of seeding, getting unlucky for seeding. This will, over 5 weeks, it'll balance out. You won't just lose to the best team every week, and you'll get an accurate placement, roughly accurate placement with regards to your skill in comparison to other teams. And 8 teams from this advance into the next stage, which is the last chance qualifier. So the bottom 8 from Swiss and top 8 from the open brackets, the 5-week open bracket run. So 2A and 2B will come into this, and they'll be sorted into GSL groups. GSL groups are groups of 4 teams. It's essentially like a 4-team double elimination bracket. So you can see it in this image. It's fairly well put out. You play your first round match. If you win, you play in the winners final. If you win that, you're through. If you lose, you play in the match, the first match in the losers bracket. If you win that, you play against the loser of the winners final. And the winner of that goes on into the next stage of play as well. I've always said my complaint with GSL groups is that you can have 3 teams in a group that are better than 3 teams in another group, you know, and in the group with 3 worse teams, 2 of those teams will qualify. In the group with 3 better teams, only 2 will qualify again, you know. So I've always liked the idea of having this losers final switched so that the winners final team from one group, the loser of the winners final team from one group plays against the winner of the losers semi from another group, just so that you get a little bit more variety. You don't have teams playing the same teams again, and it gives you a better chance to get the best possible teams advancing. I don't know how that plays with 4 groups of 4. I think it would probably play okay. You would just predetermine which groups play each other in the final match, but I don't know. It never seems to happen that way. But I am always advocating for it, and I will continue to do so. Please switch it up. Yeah, there's November 2nd to November 10th, so this is just over. I guess this is over 2 weekends. We'll see how that goes. Stage 4 playoffs, a massive double elimination tournament. 16 teams, I believe, being whittled down to 3 for EU and NA. So 3 for EU, 3 for NA. This will be again online, which is nuts. 16 teams go in, only 3 go out. This is going to be, for all the marbles, big pressure. Big pressure tournament, November 16th to November 24th, which again is going to be roughly over 2 weekends. These will be played Saturdays and Sundays, and it will be seeded based on a group draw where the top seeded teams from the Swiss format get to choose their opponents. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, the last big choosing that I remember was it Leviathans picked Titans? They chose us. They chose us. I remember Paul mouthing after smacking them down in his first game of was that season one of the worlds, season 9 worlds. Must have been season 9 worlds, right? But I remember that they chose us. They chose us. I love that. I hope we get to see some spicy picks. That would be fun. I doubt we'll see anything too spicy. I think teams have probably learned their lesson there. But you never do know. I think this entire tournament will be best of 3. As far as I'm aware, there's no more best of 1s after this open bracket ends. Everything is best of 3 from then on. But I'm not certain about this. The information isn't quite there on the page. But from watching the video or the live stream that was done on Smite Game about this stuff, featuring Hindu Man, which you should check out. I'll link the YouTube video of that down below. Yeah, I believe that this will be best of 3 all the way through. I'm not sure if there maybe will be some best of 5 towards the end. It's not very clear here, but yeah, we'll see. I would like to think that the final games of this will be best of 5, like qualification matches maybe. So the winners bracket final, and then maybe like the losers bracket semis, and loser bracket winner bracket final, and then there's like one losers bracket semi, I guess, because the two teams from the winners bracket final will both qualify automatically. It's 3 teams. Working this through in my head here. So when do we have the best of 5? And do they even play that final match for seeding? I'm not sure. I imagine they would, but maybe just a best of 3. Qualification matches, maybe best of 5. That's what I would like to see here. And then back to best of 3 if they feel the need to play a winners bracket final for seeding. Anywho, yeah, this is gonna be a big tournament. This one will be full of banger matches and upsets and things like that, I'm sure. This is the one that I really like the idea of. I really like the Swiss format. This is the one that I'm placing the most significance on, though. This tournament. It'll be later on. It'll give us a good idea of what to expect going into the 2 lands which come up in the stages after this. And it'll show us a lot about these regions. Anyway, stage 5 knockouts. So at this stage, we have 3 European teams and 3 North American teams who have qualified to go out to Alpharetta, Georgia. That's where the studio is, for reference, and where the development of the game is based. They'll go out there and they will play for their chance to go to Vegas alongside 2 teams from other regions is the plan. So this isn't really stated here, but in the talk about it in the video, Hindu Man specifically mentioned Brazil and LATAM. There's been a lot of chat from OCE community representatives as well, pushing to get involved. I think LATAM, you have to say, are like a shoe-in to be at least one of the teams going into this. I think how some of the LATAM guys, Leviathans, whatever you want to call those players, how they have represented themselves in the SPL over the last few years, I think there's no way you don't give them a spot. And their fans as well have been vocal members of the esports community, so I think it would be great to see what other talent is lurking in LATAM. Brazil as well. There's always been good players in Brazil. They had some decent performances early on. Bring back Kliz, perhaps. But one player who I'm really excited to see out of Brazil is Gon, or Nog, you may know him as. Gonn, but also plays as NNOG. He's like a really talented player. Got an offer to play in the SPL last year, but didn't take it. Would love to see more of him and love to see what other Brazilian players we have coming through. OCE is the other region who I think has a shout of making it into competing for these spots. Some of the best minds in Smite, I think, have come out of OCE. You look at the SPL coaches, you've had Chuck, El Chuck Lomeo, 2-time Smite World Champion, Biggie, One Worlds, Row, really highly respected, and Sharks as well. 4 guys who have, kind of forced their way into staying in the esports scene and being able to continue competing. Shows a lot about the passion of the region and how much the people there care. The concern I have about OCE is the depth of players. I know that they can barely get queues to pop when they were playing Smite 1. They have to like organize when people are going to queue when they get together, so that they have to like organize it in Discord to make sure that a queue pops and they can play a game. It's a lot of work, and kind of shows that the region lacks depth. I imagine Hi-Rez will get some good idea on the depths of these regions relative to one another, just on player count through the first couple weeks of the game being released into open beta, and I think they should decide based on that, and decide based on whatever tournaments they run. Maybe they can do something like, I'm not sure how this could work, but maybe they could do something like have all 3 regions come out a little bit earlier and compete for the 2 spots, or have LATAM and Brazil play off, or I mean, they could just decide which regions they believe are stronger and just bring out teams from just 2 regions. We'll see. And equally, if the regions are looking weak, and I mean, no, I was going to say if the regions are looking weak, they shouldn't bring out teams, but I think they should either way. I think keeping Smite 2 international and keeping more teams competing leads us into a better platform for world championships and things like that. I believe that strongly. Is there any real information on this? 2 groups, 4 teams. Again, GSL. I guess 2 teams getting eliminated, and the other 6 qualifying for the live land. So only 2 teams get eliminated at this stage. And again, I think it's going to be similar to the previous group, but in this case, it will just be the loser of this that gets eliminated, I guess, rather than 2 teams being eliminated from each group. But I don't know. I don't know if they've really clarified what this group play looks like. So maybe that should be something that's clarified, because I'm not sure on it. I guess it's going to be GSL with 1 team with less matches, so GSL, but the loser of this gets eliminated. But we don't know. It could be round robin as well. That's December 12th to 15th. That's going to be the first Smite 2 on LAN in studio, which will be neat. And then we get the real LAN in Las Vegas. Take all your 300k winnings and put it on black, spin the wheel, lose it all, put it down the drain. Beautiful. I would love to see that. But yeah, 6 teams will go out to the arena. I'm generally not a fan of 6-team tournaments, because it means that you don't have an even number of teams to have everybody playing a first round matchup, which means teams are getting buys, which I just generally don't like. That's going to be the way it is. It'll be... The top 2 seeds will go straight into winners bracket semis, and then you'll have the other 4 teams play off at the start. Winners will advance to play the winners bracket semis. Teams are waiting. Losers will drop down into the loser bracket, play each other, and then it's just a regular bracket from there. There has been chat about what advantage the winners bracket team gets in the case of this double elimination tournament. I'm interested to see the way it goes. So for reference, some people believe that the team who goes through the winners bracket, because they haven't lost, they eventually play the final against the team who's worked back through the losers bracket, right? So there's a number of ways that the teams, that organizations have gone about trying to solve this problem. Sometimes you have the team that went through the winners bracket have a 1-game advantage in the final. Sometimes you have a bracket reset, which means if the losers bracket team wins the set, so say it's a best of 5, say they win 3-0, it goes into a new best of 5. One thing I've heard banded about is a best of 5 bracket reset into a best of 1, which would be super interesting. Imagine the losers bracket team battles through, wins 3-0 in the best of 5, and then just gets 1-0'd in the decider match. That would be crazy. But yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. First live audience SMITE event. I am for sure excited about it. I will leave the links to all this stuff down below in the description. So if you're looking for more information than I just rambled about for the last little while, go and check the description and read up on it yourself. Leave some comments of anything that you think's interesting or anything you would like to see in SMITE Esports. I'm sure Hindu and Co will be monitoring, and so they're looking for feedback. They've said so. So if you have strong feelings about this stuff, let them know via whatever channels you can. I think Hindu will probably have DM requests open and read them. If you provide him with genuine feedback, he'll be happy to respond, I think. This is where he's got. I'm never getting hired to work at high-res events again. He gets a barrage of DMs. But anyway, I think that's been it. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. It's a lot of Smite, so I did a lot of talking. Hopefully it wasn't too boring for you. I hope you're having a great summer, and I'm looking forward to watching some Smite with all of you soon. Some Smite Esports with all of you soon. I'm looking forward to the game coming out tomorrow. Anyway, I guess I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.